Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day as always. And it's lovely to talk to you all today. Today I want to talk about a few things. And the first thing I want to talk about is I heard something called tired of living. I heard someone say, I'm tired of living, tired of existing. And the reason that is because existing in the dream is really bad. It's crappy. And so that's what I'm here to help you understand. You have to awaken from the dream if you want to have a decent life. Living in the dream is just so bad. It's bad for you and it's bad for everyone around you. I know the dream is very seemingly real. And you probably say, well, I'm not living in a dream. What are you talking about? But the fact is that you are living in a dream. And that dream is the way you want it to be. That's why it's a dream. Okay? But you can't control what happens in the dream, can you? Now, so in order to awaken, we have to accept that it is a dream. That it is what it is. Your life is a dream. And that's just the way it is. You could argue with me and say, no, that's not true, whatever you want to say, but generally speaking, the facts are the facts, right? And the facts are that you're in a dream and you need to wake up. And that's why people say they're tired of existence, tired of living. Because it's the same drag every day. You get up, you feel like crap. You drink your coffee, smoke a cigarette, go down to the office, work like a dog. Come home at night, lay on the couch, and then do it over again and over ad infinitum. It's terrible, isn't it? That's what most people's lives are like. It doesn't have to be that way. Secondly, I want to talk about what you're doing on your journey, where you're at on your journey. You need to know where you're at. You need to understand what stage in your path to awakening that you are at. Otherwise, it becomes a trap. Okay? And so that means being in the now and looking at yourself. Only you can do that. No one can do that. You can't expect anyone else to be able to look into your life the way you can from the now. I mean, I know it's difficult, okay? You've got a certain set of perspectives that have been handed down to you from everyone. You know, my daddy was a Republican, so I'm a Republican. Or my daddy worshiped God, so I worship God. Or whatever it is. Or maybe your dad worshiped God, and so you don't. But either way, it doesn't really matter, because it's just a dream. And the main thing about being in a dream is trying to get out of it. You need to wake up. I know it's hard to think of it like that. It's hard to see that this is the way it is. But you can do that in the now. Once you're in the now, you can see the follies that you're undertaking for what they are. Okay? And if you're suffering through a terrible job, if you're doing stuff you don't like because you have to in order to make a living and support your family and so on and so forth, there's a reason you don't like it. And it's not because of really anything to do with the job itself. It's that you didn't get what you wanted. You didn't get the job you wanted. You didn't get the career you wanted. So now you're stuck in this. And so either you can accept that that's the case and embrace the job, which will make the job way better for you and everyone around you, or you can continue being shitty at the job, making everyone feel bad, right? Spreading suffering. That is what is. So, the important thing in life is awakening. Nothing else matters. Because at the end of everything, okay, when you're laying on your deathbed, it won't matter that you were famous. It won't matter that you were powerful. It won't matter that you had money. None of that stuff's going to make any difference. But the fear of death is, and you get a quake in your boots or in your bedpan. Because you fear the unknown. And that is part of the dream, just like your separateness is part of the dream. And you're attached to your separateness. You think you are a separate person and that, so on and so forth. But you're not. You're part of the continuum of consciousness. Anyway, I know this is all difficult to see, but you have to see it. You have to recognize that you're not the one doing the thinking. That's the first step. Look at what you're thinking. Most likely 90% of it is negative towards you. That's not the way you want it to be, right? Somebody constantly harping in your ear about how terrible you are. I mean, fly. But anyway, that someone is your ego. That's the part of you that thinks it can control you by using fear and emotions and so on and so forth. Making you choose the wrong decisions to go down the wrong path. Because that's what it wants. It doesn't want you to awaken. It wants you to stay in its prison forever. I know it's hard to think of your life as being in a prison, but that is what it is, because you are attached to everything in it. And those attachments are like steel, which is why you have to let go. You have to accept that everything in your life isn't you, and that there's only one thing that is you, and that is consciousness, the soul. I know that's hard to do, but spending time in the now via meditation or chanting or cold soaks or whatever it is that makes you stop thinking. And once you're in there, in the now, then you can see what it is your life is about. Are you addicted? I was addicted. Okay? I'm addicted to love right now and joy because I'm getting it all the time. Of course I'm addicted to it. But if you're addicted, that's because you're attached to the feeling. Just like you're attached to the body and the mind and the brain. Okay? And that attachment is what the problem is. Okay? It's wonderful to have a hobby or whatever. But when it becomes an addiction, then it's because your attachment has got you. I'm not saying that doing heroin is a hobby, but generally speaking, everything starts innocently, doesn't it? Yeah, of course it does. But this feeling of whatever it is in your life that's making you do the things you're doing, okay, is bad. It's causing you suffering. And if you're addicted to the feeling, okay, that means you're attached to the feeling. That means you have to have this feeling or you're not happy. You see how ridiculous that is? The same thing with your body. People say, oh, I have to detach from my body. No, you have to detach from the feeling of having a body. This body is a form. You can't get rid of it except through death. Okay? But you can unattach yourself to the feeling of having a body, which includes the feeling of sex, the feeling of wind hitting your face, the feeling of everything. Okay? I mean, I'm not saying that you can't experience these things. Of course you can. But the attachment to this feeling is the problem. Okay? Like the sun on my face. I love that. But I'm not attached to it. If the sun didn't shine, I would be perfectly fine. Okay? And that's how we have to be in order to get beyond this body, beyond this mind, beyond this brain, beyond attaching ourselves to them. Because as long as we do attach ourselves to them, then we cannot progress spiritually. I know that's what you want to do. Otherwise, why would you be watching this channel? Anyway, so all these things combine to keep you in the dream, to keep you trapped. And I mean, I know that's a tough thing to realize, but you have to realize it. You know? And that's all there is to it. Or continue to suffer. I don't want anyone to suffer, but that is the nature of being. And part of your awakening is your suffering, just like part of your awakening is your body. The letting go of the feeling, letting go of the attachment to the feeling of your body is a way that teaches you how to let go of other things. Okay? It's a teaching. Everything is a teaching. Okay? You need to identify the feeling of, man, these flies won't leave me alone. I guess I'm super sweet. Anyway, in order to detach from these things, you have to accept that they're not you. I know that's hard to do, but it can be done, and plenty of people have done it. If we continue to think that the world is one way when it's another, then we're going to suffer. The way the world is the way it is, and we cannot change it. We must accept it. And I know that you can do that. I know that you can accept things because you have accepted things throughout your life. You know? You wanted to do something, you couldn't do it, you accepted it, didn't you? Okay? That's the way life goes. And we need to remember how that worked. Remember where our mindset was so that we can accept everything. I said before that everything is happening because it's supposed to happen that way. We don't see it that way. We think everything is happening to us. Okay? But that's not the way it is. Everything is happening because it's supposed to be happening. And everything that has happened in the past happened that way because it was supposed to. Now you can say that this is not so if you want to, but the fact is you have to accept that it is the way it is if you want to progress. I know it's hard to accept these things, but you have to. Like your coffee. It didn't come out the right way. Or the guy handed you the wrong pack of cigarettes and you drove home. And then you got there and you opened the pack. Oh, it's the wrong kind. You're going to drive back there and say, hey, you gave me the wrong kind. And he's going to say, well, you opened it, so there's no way we can do anything about that. And then you're going to have a fit. Okay? Or whatever. And eventually you're just going to accept and grumpily smoke the cigarettes, right? That's what you're going to do. It doesn't have to be that way. You can say, you can say right away that I accept it as it is. I accept this world the way it is. Not the way I want it to be, not the way I planned for it to be, okay? But the way it is. The fact is, you cannot plan for anything because everything is constantly changing. This idea of being able to plan for things is part of the illusion of permanence. And these illusions, like the illusion of separation and the illusion of time, are there to keep you in the dream. They're there to keep you in the trap. So you need to get into the now and see through the illusions, okay? Realize that there is no past, there is no future, there is only now. That is all we can have of this moment. Other things don't exist, like the future and the past. They don't exist. We think they do because we have a memory of them existing. But that was the now which moves through space and time. And that's all the time is. We can try to think it's the past. We can try to think about the future. But that's only going to cause more suffering. And we can think we're separate beings. We can think that we're a discrete individual. Yes, absolutely, you can't think that. Okay? But you're not. You are part of everything. Everything is part of you. Okay, I know these bodies seem like they're individual and everything, and our minds are individual. But everything gets tied together by God. And that's why you have to accept in order to have that, in order to have a connection with God. You do have a connection with God. You have a connection with God right now. The only thing is, you don't know it's there. And by getting into the now, you can experience that connection. And you can see what is real. You can't see what is real in time. Okay? Because time has been too corrupted and everything else has been corrupted too. What are the facts? Most people don't know. Why? Because they've been so misinformation their whole lives. So how are you going to accept something when you don't even know if it exists? You can't. Which is why you need to get into the now and spend some time looking at your life, looking at your history. Not thinking about your history, but looking at it. Every day, we have to accept. We accept that the sun has risen, that the sky is blue. But we don't accept it that other people are the same as us. We judge them. Right? That's what we do. And thus cause suffering. What I want for everyone is to accept what is and cease the suffering. When you fight against the isness, then you are creating more suffering. I know it doesn't feel that way. And it's not just suffering for you, it's suffering for everyone around you. Karma is what you do with whatever is. Whatever is. And karma is what you do with it. Suffering is part of that. And so we have to be aware of what is going on. Otherwise, no growth can happen. Growth only happens when you chop down the trees in your mind and let the sun in. The sun of awareness. Okay? I've heard people talk about subconscious minds, and that's what's running the show, and this and that and the other. Well, that may be so. I don't know. But I do know that being in the now gives you a window onto yourself and helps you to understand what everything is all about, what is going on with yourself. I mean, everything is in flux, isn't it? Everything is moving, constantly changing. You can't really hold on to anything or call something your anchor because it's going to be gone. Everything is going to be gone. This beautiful forest will one day not exist because of whatever. Okay? And so will everything else because entropy tears everything apart. And we have to accept that instead of trying to say, no, I can build it up again. You know, that's the way it is. You can only do what you can do. And all you can really do is see what is and then accept it. That's it. If you try not to do that, if you try to stop the world, okay? And that's what we do. Stop the world. I want to get off. That is a no to what is. So is a lot of other behavior. And that no is the spring of your suffering. All of your suffering is coming out of that no. And as long as that no exists, then you're just causing suffering for everyone around you as well as yourself. Which is why it's important to say yes. I don't know if you remember the movie The Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Well, he said yes to everything. And it turned out it made his life really good. And you need to say yes to everything too. Everything that is. And that is how you can awaken, by saying yes to what is. Yeah, somebody scratched your car. Yeah, somebody banged your fender. Yeah. Somebody parked you in, so now you can't get out. And you need to get home. Or whatever it is. All these things are definitely going to be happening. Because that is the nature of the universe. But how we see them, how we react to them, how we give back into the situation. Do we give back in the situation more fear, more unhappiness? Because that's what we do. A situation exists and you feed fear into it. What happens? It gets bigger. You don't have to do that. We can accept the situation and defuse it instead of feeding it bigger. And that's absolutely true of every kind of situation you could possibly think of. And love. If you're in a situation and you give out love, it'll change the situation. I know it's hard to think of giving out love, but your heart can open. Yeah, it can open. Not just to your family members, but to everybody on this earth. To the trees and the worms and the foxes and the sheep. And that has to open in order for you to awaken. As long as your heart is armored and closed, okay, then that's part of the illusion too. And a good way to start practicing this is just to go out to a park and find somebody who has a need, which it's really to tell. It's easy to tell when somebody has a need, okay? Or on a street, or anywhere else that you happen to be. There are so many people in this world that have needs. And whether that's for food or for somebody to cry, somebody's shoulder to cry on, or whatever it is, they need you to see them. They need you to give them your heart. Not so they can, crush it or destroy it or whatever, but so they can feel a little bit of love. When you open your heart to somebody, the love comes out. It doesn't have to be the love of a loved one or the love of a romantic partner. It can be love for a fellow human being. And by doing so, we awaken a little bit more every day. I know all this stuff I'm talking about is hard to do, but it's important that it be done. For your sake as well as for everyone you come in contact with. I've said many times that I love you all because you're me. And that means that everyone is me. What is me? Well, me is God. That's what. I'm not saying that I'm Jesus or anything. I'm saying that I am a part of God and you are a part of God, and that part of God is God. Okay? Yeah, there's also a body and a personality and a name and all that stuff, history, memories. But the important part of you is that part of God that God made into your soul. In the formless dimension, the only thing there is God. So what else is he going to make your soul out of? There's nothing else there to make it. He has to use his own light. The light of God is shining through you. Okay? But except most people don't see it because we're blinded by all this distraction. Anyway, I really love talking to you guys. If there's any questions at all about anything I've said or you think I did it wrong, please let me know. I can't get better unless I get some feedback. Not that you have to. I would love any kind of comment at all. Or you just keep watching. That's great too. All right, well, have a great day and a great life.